because Jesus, as we know, was crucified as a man. He's not going to come back as a baby. In fact, the Bible declares he'll come back as a man to judge this world. So again, that would give evidence, if people were seeking for truth, that these visions or apparitions are not of God.
Peter writes, Jesus Christ has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God, angels and authorities and powers having been made subject to him. If Jesus is in his glorified body, reigning from heaven, then the Queen of Heaven must be presenting a false Christ.
The Queen of Heaven has been around for millennia, seducing and deceiving God's people. Is it possible that she is the entity that is impersonating Mary? Does the Bible indicate that she will be active during Earth's final days? Do the scriptures warn us of a wicked woman, lady, and queen who will deceive the nations?
In the book of Revelation, we are told of a queen who will influence the world. I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters. The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins. For she says in her heart, I sit as queen.
In the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible, John reveals to us a portion of his vision, in that in the last days there will be a wicked woman who will be part of a delusion that will deceive the whole world. And it's in reference to a woman being a queen.
Of course, the apparition often refers to herself as the queen.
The Lady of all nations, who is the bride of the Lord, the Queen of the King, who has now received this title from the Lord. She has once again saved the world by her intercession, once more saved it.
Jesus Christ is going to glorify her as the queen, and she'll be here, and she'll be recognizable as the queen of everything that God has made, the queen of the universes, the queen of all mankind, the queen of everything that God has created. And she'll be the queen, and she'll be a glorified queen. It won't be any question about who she is. And she'll be the loving mother of Jesus Christ, who has all power.
In addition, Isaiah chapter 47 predicts the end-time demise of the Lady of Kingdoms. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne. For you shall no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. But these two things shall come to you in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon you in their fullness because of the multitude of your sorceries. It is disturbing to discover that a major apparition calls herself the Lady of all Nations. At the International Day of Prayer of the Mother and Lady of all Nations, held since 1997 in Amsterdam, thousands gathered to honor and spread the messages of the Lady of all Nations.
I, together with my auxiliary bishop, Monsignor Pun, approved the title Lady of all Nations and allowed its public veneration.
Mary promised in Fatima that her Immaculate Heart would triumph. This triumph will not be achieved with nuclear arms, however, but through the simple hearts of those who suffer and are persecuted, of those who have dedicated themselves wholly to Mary, the co-redemptrix. Under the title, Lady and Mother of all Nations, Mary shows us in Amsterdam the way to peace and unity for the Church and, through the Church, for the world.
As startling as these claims are, the apparition's desire to be declared co-redemptrix may soon be met.
When the dogma, the last dogma in Marian history, has been proclaimed, the Lady of all nations will give peace, true peace to the world. The nations, however, must say my prayer in union with the Church. They must know that the Lady of all nations has come as co-redemptrix, mediatrix, and advocate. So be it.
I am convinced that through the Lady and Mother of all nations, we will be led into the deepest mystery, the co-redeeming task of Mary. She is truly the co-redemptrix.
There is an apparition that is taking place today in Amsterdam that says, I am no longer Mary, I am the Lady of all nations. And it's this apparition that claims that she must be the co-redeemer, and that if she is proclaimed co-redeemer by the Pope, then she will usher in an era of peace.
It is also interesting that almost all apparitions stress the importance of peace and unity. For example, the apparition that identifies herself as the Mother of the Eucharist has declared,
Speak about the Mother of the Eucharist, because the Mother of the Eucharist closes history. All the messages come from God, and everywhere that I am appearing, I am speaking about the same things. Because through the triumph of the Eucharist, the Mother wants all the churches to be reunited, so that there will be only one church for all the people.
Furthermore, on October 8, 2000, Pope John Paul, with 1,500 bishops, the largest group to assemble since Vatican II, entrusted humanity and the third millennium to Our Lady of Fatima, an apparition who promises her triumph and global peace.
Dear God, you have given us the Mother of Queen, as Queen. Through her intercession, grant us the grace of living eternity with she and her Son.
So her goal and her objective is to bring the body of Christ together, and through so that we who have been separated, whether it's the Orthodox, whether it's the Protestants, whether it's from the Catholics, whatever group you're talking about, we who have been estranged from one another for all of these years would come together, that we might in fact be the body of Christ as a whole unit, as Christ prayed in John 17 that we would be.
To me, the Marian movement has reached out beyond the Catholic Church.
It is apparent that a common front is being presented by these apparitions around the world. No matter where they take place, there's a common message, and that is a global peace, global unity for peace, and no one apparition has ever denied any other apparition.
Well, I think the world is very, very hungry for peace, and clearly there will be no real peace until the Prince of Peace comes. There will be a false peace. The Bible lays out a great deal of detail of world events. The whole geopolitical horizon is laid out in the period of time that we call the end times. The messages of peace are also prophetically relevant. But the Bible tells us when they say peace and safety, then comes sudden destruction. This global peace and unity theme is interesting because the world is also moving towards what is called ecumenicalism. And that all sounds good at first. Gee, we're all going to get along, until you realize it involves the denial of truth.
The Bible warns of a false peace and unity that will deceive the nations. Furthermore, Jesus and the New Testament writers caution that deception will increase in the last days. For example, Paul writes, "But evil men and impostors will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." In addition, the Bible warns that the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
And when I come to die, oh, and when I come to die, and when I come to die, give me Jesus. But give me Jesus.